Hello and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better. And if not, faster.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 80s.
On this episode, Fast Times at Ridgemont High from 1982.
I'm Emma and I woke up in such a great mood today. I don't know what the hell happened.
I'm Anders, and all I need are some tasty waves, a cool buzz, and I'm fine. Hey, can I use your bathroom?
Tasty waves. Hey, have you ever surfed?
Does boogie boarding when I was 11 count?
Yeah.
Because the answer is no. No, never. I've never hung 10, 9, 8, or I've never hung any number at all. I've never hanged anything. What about you? Are you a surfer?
I have actually surfed, yeah. We did a lot of boogie boarding, although I think we called it a bodyboard. And yeah, I have, for a short period in my life, I could actually surf, which was quite cool.
That's cool.
Very into it when I was like 13 or so, yeah.
Wow. Brian Wilson himself would be very proud of you.
I know, right? Surfing UK. But I believe that particular talent has probably now left my rotor of various skills. Anyway, talking about surfing, let's surf on over to talking about the kind of seminal surfing film, I would say. I think of this film shortly, right?
There's a really incredible movie from the 90s called Surf Ninjas. You ever see Surf Ninjas?
No. Oh, no, sorry, yes. I didn't see She's All That, but I did see Surf Ninjas.
I'll give you two guesses what Surf Ninjas is about.
It's it's about a wedding in the Arctic.
It's so Arctic cool. Wedding, very somber. There's a polar ring bearer, right? And everyone's wearing a tuxedo because they're all penguins. You're right. You've seen it. No, Surf Ninjas. It's a movie about a bunch of kids who are surfers and also they're ninjas. I think what happens is they don't know they're ninjas because they're adopted or something, but then they realize, oh no, we're ninjas, and we also know how to surf. I think, hey, listen, if you want to just, hang 10, rip curl, radical dude, and also gnarly, I could give you a rundown of this movie if you would like.
I would love that.
I'm going to do the rundown in a slightly different way. Normally we'll be like, hey, this is a movie about this, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then this happened, and then it was the end of the movie. That's, I think, how synopses work. But I'm gonna go a little bit radical here, and I want to say that Fast Times at Ridgemont High is kind of about three different stories. The main story, from my reading, a guy who did not go to film school, is about Stacy, who's a 15-year-old girl who works at a restaurant in the mall, trying to figure out what love is all about, and by doing so, just like dating and kissing and doing teen stuff with boys and trying to figure out how to fall in love. Ultimately, she ends up falling in love and dating what was that guy's name? Brian? Mark? Rat? That's not a name. Jeez, IMDb. Yeah, it is. Eventually, she ends up with this guy Mark, who works at the movie theater. There's one story, Stacy and Mark. There's another story, Sean Penn, Spicoli, who's just like a stoner dude who's can't get to class because he's stoned all the time, and his arch nemesis, Mr. Hand, who's the history teacher, and their whole thing, which in the end, I think they come to an agreement. And then the final story is about Brad, who's the guy who's like the assistant manager of a burger place, who's not having a very good relationship with his girlfriend Lisa. He kind of just keeps getting fired and eventually breaks up with Lisa, and but then he becomes the manager of a gas station. So three different stories happening at the same time. Let's zoom back. Here it is. It's the early 80s. It's a high school movie. There's a bunch of kids going to high school. Some of them are freshmen. Some of them are seniors. It's a very like, I don't know. to me, it felt more realistic than some of the high school places that we've seen in the past. This felt like when they were showing the shots of the high school, I'm like, that's what high school felt like to me. It was a bit sort of crowded. Sometimes you get gum stuck to your shirt, and people are kind of jerks to you, right? There's a lot of shots in the school. This girl, Stacy. God, it is kind of confusing, to be fair. It's like it happens at the high school and then it happens at the mall.
Yeah.
But like, it's just sort of like, this movie is either focusing on it's high school and Spicoli can't get to high school on time and so Mr. Hand's giving him a hard time, or it's outside of high school and they're either at the mall trying to date each other or out at the point necking a bit. Like every dang high school movie ever, it culminates in a dance at school. And this wild scene where Mr. Hand comes to Spicoli's house and goes, you wasted all my time this year, so I'm going to waste your time and you can't go to the dance and get high. And they have this really weird but / lovely sort of time where Spicoli kind of goes, I actually learned a few things, and let me tell you about Lincoln. What else? Oh, the young Stacy first dates a guy who's 25 years old, and she's
26.
15. Yeah, that makes it worse. He's 26, she's 15. That happens.
Yep.
Then she goes out with Mark, a.k.a. Rat, who's a sweet guy, to be fair. But that doesn't really go anywhere. So then she has this sort of romantic tryst with Mike, who is Mark's / Rat's best friend, and then they get in a fight, but then everything's fine, and in the end Stacy ends up dating Rat anyway. I don't know, there's a bunch of pool scenes, a bunch of nudity, there's a bunch of silliness, and in the end I think the lesson here, or the takeaway, is high school, right? Kids just trying to figure it out. Kids are trying to figure it out. And also final take. They go to a hospital and go to a morgue on a class trip.
Yeah,
to see some dead bodies, because that's what happens in high school. My point is, this movie's kind of all over the place. Am I wrong here?
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of the best I can do as a rundown. Emma, you're a film student. You've studied the art of cinema, right? Can you help us, and by us I mean me, and possibly our listening public, unpack this movie? What was this movie? What was it about? What happened? What was going on?
Well, so I mean, Anders, what do you think it was about?
Dudes trying to get laid.
Yeah.
Dudes trying to get it on. This is a horny movie about horny boys.
Yeah.
And also horny girls.
Yes.
Because let's be honest,
horny.
Stacy wanted to get sex.
Yep.
For big time, right?
Yep.
And when the one guy was like, I'm not really into it, she was like, cool, I'll just call your best friend and sex him instead.
Let me say the main thing that I want to say about this film.
Okay.
Listener, look at the episode number of this episode.
I just looked at it.
Yeah.
Way. Cool. Nice, bro. Nice, bro.
Fast Times,
bro.
Nice,
right. Bro. Nice.
I have a lot of things to say about this, and I feel like maybe somewhat uncharacteristically, we might end up with like a shorter first section than a much longer twist.
Fantastic.
Because I think a lot of the things I want to say might end up there anyway.
All right.
Here are my thoughts on the movie from 1982, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I think there are a lot of things I liked about this film, and there were a lot of things I didn't like.
Yeah.
And the overall feeling was, as you say, that it was a bit of a mess. I really wish I had gone back and listened to our episode on American Pie, which I believe
boy. Oh,
was,
jeez. Oh, golly.
our 5th episode, something like that.
Don't go back. Always forward. Never look back. Right. That's why sharks don't have necks.
Fun fact for you, which is that one of our most listened to episodes, actually, one of our most popular episodes. I think like our second most popular episode of all time.
People love that movie.
People love it. I can't totally remember what I said, but hopefully it will somewhat align with what I'm about to say, which is that I think American Pie was better than this. And I think part of the reason is to do with the storylines. I know.
Wow.
Oh, God.
The movie where Jason Biggs and his friends, Blink-182, illegally videotaped and broadcast on the internet their classmate / sex pot whatever her name was, undressing.
Oh, yeah. And it's specifically that part that I'm talking about when I say that film was better than this one.
The movie where Jason Biggs literally had sex with a pie.
All of that. Loved it. Loved it.
Goods sex.
In this movie, I don't even want to say. There was some stuff in this movie that I'm fairly liberal. I'm very sex positive. I'm fairly, chill and comfortable talking about this kind of stuff. I'm not a prude. Okay.
Yeah.
But some of the things in this film,
this was buck wild, right? Was it how everyone was getting naked? There was so much naked.
That's fine. I don't even mind that. Okay, I don't mind. But right. Let me say what I was going to say.
Sorry.
I think that in American Pie, the storylines are better. It has a similar thing of having like a couple of little relationships focused around the same group, and they make more sense, and the characters are clearer and the arcs are clearer than they were in this film. I think it felt very muddled, and there wasn't much to grip onto from an actual screenwriting, story building, story arc perspective. That can sometimes be fine, because sometimes it is just an experiential movie, Dazed and Confused and all of that kind of genre of it's just a bunch of things happening over a period of time, and that has its own value. But I just think with this film, it left me feeling quite disappointed, because I don't actually think it was, while some of the things that were talked about, some of the moments were quite shocking, I don't think any of the storylines actually were. I thought they were quite dull. Like, it's like, oh, we might date, or I might date this person instead. And it's like, you could remove all of the sexy stuff, and you could remove all the nudity and all of the language, and it would just be a really boring film.
Bit boring, yeah.
And it's like, somebody famous once said about like children's films is that children's films should be that you can take away all the kids stuff and it's still a great film underneath it. So you shouldn't dull things down just because of the genre demands it.
Yeah.
So that kind of annoyed me. And I think the other thing was it didn't really feel like Ridgemont High. I felt like I had been sold the idea of this school as this place where things happen, and it's the environment that dictates the fact that these things happen. If you think of something like Sex Education, it's a very special environment that the school dictates, and the people who go there become involved in that culture. And I was expecting that from this film, and I didn't feel that at all. I don't think they spent enough time at the school. I think going to the mall was the mall.
The mall.
Say it. It's really hard when I've heard it in an American accent and then I try and say it because the mall. Is like it was fun, but it was a bit of a distraction. They spent a lot of the time doing other things, and they weren't that connected as a group of people. And you did see the teachers, but you didn't see the teachers interact with each other very much. You didn't get like an idea of the leadership of the school. I think that was really missing for me. I think the school itself needed to be a much bigger presence, and I think the characters needed to be more clear, and the arcs needed to be more clear. Having said that, I thought it was very funny at points.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Some of it was entertaining. And I did like, so the scenes which were just sort of people milling around, that was quite nice, and the music was also great.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was it should have been called Fast Times at the mall, right? Yeah. Or Fast Times Fast Times, at the pool, because all the, at Stacy's pool or whatever, it just felt like it was a lot of different things happening at once, and none of the stories were that good.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I would watch a movie starring Judge Reinhold about him working in a burger place and getting fired because that customer was being a jerk, and then him trying to like figure out to either work at a different place or get his job back while he's trying to convince his girlfriend Lisa to have sex or break up. That's a movie.
Yeah.
That's a movie right there, right? And I don't know. Sometimes I like complexity. Sometimes I like, Route 1 cheese sandwich, right? Sometimes I just want a very clear, these are the stars, this is the conflict, this is what happens, this is the resolution, end of movie, okay? Mm-hmm. There were a couple of stars, but it felt like it wasn't quite clear to me who I'm supposed to be like invested in. Personally, the character I thought that was the most compelling, and I would love to watch a movie about them, was Spicoli. Right? I would watch the heck out of a movie that was just about Sean Penn's character.
Right. Haven't we kind of seen that movie, though? Like, we've seen that story.
We have, but not from 1982.
No.
Okay? This is the oldest movie we've ever watched for the podcast.
Oof.
Right? Which means, I think that's right. Is that right? Have we watched anything from earlier than this movie?
So, yeah.
So this is the proto-teen movie, okay? This is the oldest teen movie we have watched, and we've seen it. I feel like I'm saying something that you've said before, but we've seen this done better, right? Mm-hmm. Not just in American Pie. I totally agree. But we've seen, a lot of these storylines just done better in other movies. We've seen, dumb kid from high school better. I can't remember what movie kind of relates directly, but we've seen this. Having said that, we haven't seen it with Sean Penn, who's like a pretty darn great actor, and I would have watched the heck out of just him. I kind of weirdly like the whole him and Mr. Hand thing, which I didn't think I would like. But at the end, when he comes over to his house, I was like, "Why are you at his house?" But actually, I kind of like that.
Well, that is the election student teacher relationship thing, isn't it? That cropped up a little bit there. I was thinking today about Skins, because Skins is like it was like its 15-year anniversary or something.
How has it been so long since that show came out?
I know.
I don't understand anything anymore.
It's a British TV show. It was made in the city that I am from, which is fun.
That's fun.
And I remember it being made, and I was an extra in one of the episodes as well.
Oh, that's fun.
It's very interesting because I was just thinking of that as an example, and I was thinking about some of the more recent high school films and TV shows, and like Euphoria and stuff like that as well, which is so hot right now. They're all much more pessimistic. Skins is a really, really pessimistic show, and I was thinking about someone from my generation and people who are a bit younger than me, so like younger millennials and older Gen Zs. A lot of the high school and young person content that is made that is meant to be relatable for us is so much more pessimistic than this stuff. If you think about Fast Times at Ridgemont High, or like obviously the classic Grease, like it's like everything is great and life is fun, and we're just young kids out having fun, and all we care about is having sex with and being attractive and going to parties, and that's it. And their lives are so shallow. And I know it's like a comedy film, but it was just funny to me thinking about things that are racy and things that are shocking, and how this film, I assume there are lots of bits that are intended to be very racy and shocking, but they're still done in a very kind of like optimistic way, whereas some of the stuff which is very shocking in Skins is far more gritty,
right? And
it's like, look at all these kids taking drugs, and I'm pretty sure one of the main characters getting murdered and stuff like that. So remember when people used to be positive and happy and think things were fun, and it was all just about, Is that the difference between you and me? You were the last set of teens that were positive and happy, and then I was one of the sad, pessimistic ones.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I would say that very well could be if you drill right down to the core of the narrative. Maybe that's what was happening. Here's what I also think. This is the pre-internet times, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. The best thing they had, the only version, their Google was going to the mall, right?
Yeah.
Everything was simple then. Everything was straightforward. They weren't pressured by anything, social media and bullying and all that. But equally, they're kind of dumb because they can't Google stuff, right? They don't know stuff. So they just have to experience it, right? And I think that this captured a I don't know, a feeling of youthful positivity where it's just like, yeah, everyone's super horny, but at least they were just like feeling pumped about being teenagers,
Yeah.
And it was just like
depressed to be horny now.
It's you, yeah. Oh, keep it, put it away. Don't talk about how you really feel, or everything's fine and it's all and everyone's overwhelmed. This movie was like, some things are fine. Go work at the movie theater and try to date people. You want some advice? Well, you can't have any. So have awkward dates, I guess. I'm sorry that the girl that you wanted to date slept with your friend who sells scalper tickets to Van Halen. It just, everything's felt like
$25. They were like, can we get? They were originally $12 to see Van Halen.
I know. Front row, $25.
Front row. I thought about booking tickets to see a music artist somewhat recently, and they were £90 for bad seats.
Was that Lady Gaga?
No, I wouldn't. I would obviously just
you would pay whatever
exactly.
Whatever
money.
Yeah, $25, double marked up to see Van Halen front row. But times are simple, right? You couldn't be weighed down by the problems of the world. It was 1982, right? Yeah. Everything was super groovy. Here's what you did: you got stoned and surfed those cool, crisp blue waves. And then went to history class to learn about Lincoln. That was pretty much it. And then probably all of those people in this movie became CEOs of big companies, right? Yeah. They're bankers, CEOs. They're all fine. Everything's fine. A simpler time. And I remember that time, pre-internet, and it was glorious. And then I turned 11, we got the internet, and everything changed. Now I'm a slave to TikTok. You know what I'm saying? I'm flossing right now.
I think that's over. I think that's
what, flossing?
That's done. Yeah.
What about dabbing? Is that a thing?
That's way over.
Oh yeah. What about cryptocurrency?
That's in.
Yeah.
That's in.
Don't funge me because I'm not fungible. The end.
I can't believe the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High made me have an existential crisis. It really doesn't take much. That's what I've learned. It really doesn't take much. The films that we talk about that are far more like pensive and thoughtful and philosophical, I'm just like, right. Oh yeah, this was interesting. And then we do like a really silly one, and I'm like, what does it all mean? What's my place in this world? Do you know what I think it is? Do you know what I think it is? I'd like to just talk about me for a second.
I want to hear everything literally right now.
I think it's whenever I'm watching a film in which it's just people having loads of fun, I get really navel gazy.
Wow, omphalumpskipsis right over here in Emma's
and I'm
world. Like,
these people are having so much fun. Why don't I have fun? It's like,
yeah, I get it.
The guy orders a pizza to his history class.
It was amazing. He orders a pizza to the history class while he's high in a class that he knows you're not allowed to have food in. It's a different time. I love that.
It's a different time.
I love that so much. How about that time in the beginning of the movie and that guy opens his locker and there's a little bit of gum in there and it gets on his jumper and then turns around and comes back and he's literally covered in gum, but he's smiling because it's like, high school.
I would love to hang out in an American 80s mall. That would be so fun.
Yeah, it looked awesome. Just like, here's what you had. It was just for teenagers. It was just a bunch of like cheap, greasy restaurants, burger places, pizza places, a movie theater, and like neon fashion. in a mall that, look, you saw it, and you and I probably thought the same thing. Is this the mall they shot Stranger Things season 3 at?
That is
right?
exactly what I thought.
And
I was also thinking about how Stranger Things absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, they freaking nailed
it.
Yeah,
by doing that. It's so good.
Yeah,
what a great television show. I wonder if anyone knows.
Nobody knows. It's just you and me. Nobody's ever seen that before. Niche cinema.
So yeah, can we go to the twist?
Let's go to the twist. Let's jump into.
Let's do it.
Let's jump into our twist mobile, right? And do you have your key?
Here it is.
Okay, cool. And I have my key.
It's all twisted round.
It's like a curly pasta, and we just insert our key at the same time, and then we twist to the right.
Okay.
Right. 3, 2, 1, and then right. And here we are. We're going to the twist zone. Oh, see you on the other side, folks. Hey, do you like fast times? Do you like high schools? Do you like cool malls? Do you like feeling part of the in crowd? If so, I'd love to recommend that you follow us on our social medias. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and some that I've not even heard of because I'm an old guy. Plot Twisters Pod. Find us, like us, share us, subscribe. And, if you got the time, send us a message and say how your day is going because we really do care. Bye!
I put the handbrake on because it's time for business.
Risky business?
That was last week or the week before. When was that? That was before.
Okay.
This is now.
Regular business. Now business.
This is time. The times are fast at Ridgemont High. Let's go.
I'm pumped.
Here's the first thing I want to do. I want us to... I don't know if we necessarily need to pick a main character. I think we can still go for an ensemble piece.
Cool.
Because those are, people like those. But what I want to do is want to make all these people much more closely related to each other. So Stacy and Brad are siblings.
Yeah, but in this movie they barely talk about that, right?
Yeah, they barely mention it. They're siblings, and then we have Linda as Stacy's friend. Mark is in Stacy's year, I think, at school.
I think so.
And then his friend is Mike, and they know each other maybe from the cinema. And then Jeff Spicoli is somehow connected.
Linda's in the same high school. They're in the same class. They're in the same geography class, right? Or history class, or whatever it was. They're in They're in Mr. Hand's class together.
Right. So is she older?
She's 15. So is Spicoli 15?
Okay.
Is Spicoli 15? What?
We are... I think she might be older because she works with Stacy.
Maybe.
I think she could be older.
But she says she's 15.
Well, let's get some closer connections.
Okay, all right.
So Stacy and Brad can still be siblings. I think they should be twins.
I love that so. I was going to say twins. They're twins. They are twins.
In fact, pretty much all of these kids should probably be in the same year, except
I thought you were going to say they should all be twins. They can't all be twins.
They
are confusing.
all related.
They're all cousins. They're the Partridge Family.
Yes.
It's too much. All right, so twins. One set of twins. The others are all in the same grade.
Yeah.
That makes it simple. I'm into that already. Then
Stacy can still work at the pizza place, and Linda can still work with her, but they're also friends at school.
Yeah.
And then Mike... No, let's say Mike also works at the cinema. And then Mark works in the burger place with Brad. How about that?
Easy. Although I feel like Spicoli wouldn't really have a job at all.
No, but he's okay because now he's in the same year as all of them. So that's fine.
Oh, fine. Is he still a stoner surfer?
Yeah. They could basically be the same other than that.
But he also has a job.
Closely connected. So they're all in Mr. Hand's class.
Love that. Love it.
Right?
Yes. So Mr. Hand is all of their teachers? Yes.
And so what we can say is maybe that Jeff, a lot of the stuff stays the same, but because he's almost like the feature character, he kind of comes in and does the joke, and he's less involved. He's like Stifler, right? He's less involved in the plots.
We need, you know what this movie
he's
needed was a Stifler. Now we have it.
And his mum is hot. So but he still does his bits, but he's like, you know, he's less,
Yeah, because he's cool.
So now I think when we see some of the interactions between the characters, they can happen in the school.
Yeah.
And then I think Mr. Hand, I have this all figured out. You don't even need to really be.
This is fantastic. I'm just gonna lean. I'm gonna recline my lazy boy all the way back. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride.
I'll get all the ones that I've already decided out, and then you can say what you want to add to the situation. Okay, so the other thing I was thinking was that Mr. Hand could be a new teacher to the school.
Oh, like brand new hire or a substitute? What are you talking?
Like a new hire. He's the defense against the dark arts teacher for this year. So like we could maybe have, so Mr. Vargas is their, would you say like homeroom teacher?
Yeah, I guess so. That's a thing that happens in high school. It didn't happen in my... Oh, no. I'm sorry. It totally did happen in my high school.
Right.
I just forgot that was a thing. Homeroom, yep, boom, Mr. Yeah.
Well,
Mr.
we would
Vargas,
say, because so we had like forms. So you would say your form tutor. And that's like your assigned teacher.
Here's a question. Why does England have to fancy up everything? Why does it have to be all fancy?
I don't know that's, I don't know.
Oh, welcome to
Americans,
form.
they're more straightforward. It's like, oh, it's your home room. It's a room that is like your school home.
Totally. It's why we spell through. THRU, right? Because we don't have time for any of this nonsense. Where are you going? Right through. Drive through.
So we had like, when I was in year 7, my teacher's name began with a J. So we were 7J. You know, it's that kind of thing.
That's cute.
Yeah, they would do the register in the morning and give you like any notices and stuff, and they were like your pastoral care as well.
Right. And
so you would do that.
Check your uniform and make sure you're wearing a belt and that kind of thing, right? Do the old belt check.
Yeah, your skirt wasn't too short.
Measure it with a ruler and you kneel down and then you have to go to do your rosary.
Wipe all my eyeliner off.
Yep.
That genuinely happened to me a few times. That they literally got a makeup wipe and wiped off my eyeliner because I was wearing too much. Yeah.
My high school, they used to make kids go and shave if they hadn't shaved, and they just gave them
Really?
Yeah, guess what? They gave them a razor, and that was it. Hey, you didn't shave today. Here's a Bic. Here's like a single-use Bic. Go shave in the bathroom. Can I have any shaving cream? No. It's 1997. Good luck. And you'd come out. You'd start with a bit of stubble, but not much because you were like 17, and that was bad. And then you'd then go into the bathroom. When you come back, you would have massive lesions of blood on her face, but no stubble, so that was good. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Following the rules is pain, but it makes you all look the same, except for you, bloody. What's wrong with your face? Oh, I had to shave with a disposable razor in a cold bathroom without any shaving cream, and now I think I'm scarred for life. But I don't have any stubble. I'm going to history class. Goodbye.
Now I can learn. My face is stubble free.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's like that. They have a homeroom tutor, a form tutor, whatever. And that is Mr. Vargas. So he knows these kids.
Right.
And he's a really nice guy. So he lets them get away with stuff. Because I'd like to just briefly refer back to the actual tagline of the movie, which is, at Ridgemont High, only the rules get busted. Suggesting to somebody who is, scrolling through IMDb to learn a bit about this film in preparation for watching it for their film podcast.
Right.
It would suggest to that person, like, oh, this is a fun school where the rules are all wacky and people do crazy things because of what the school is like, not just because they're crazy teens. Anyway,
it's
so
not
he's
that at
like,
all. It is the worst.
They're all wild because he's like too nice with them and doesn't discipline them and just lets them get away with stuff.
Right.
It's all kind of like, oh, you kids.
It's like a Camp Nowhere situation, right? Where everyone's just going nuts. Yeah,
but he's just way too soft on them, I think. And he maybe gets really involved in their personal lives. So he'll come in and like, here's the scene, right? He comes in, they're all like, loud and rowdy and like chewing gum and eating pizza and all this kind of thing, and he comes and sit down, he goes, guys, those squares on the school board want me to let you know about the upcoming finals, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to hear what's going on with you. Jennifer, are you still dating
dude?
Simon.
Sorry, dude. Hey, dude. Hey, Emma, have you ever seen the...
Hello.
Hey. Have you ever seen the movie Better Off Dead?
No, is it that?
Well, it's a movie with John Cusack, and their homeroom teacher is played by the actor who played Mr. Vargas.
No way.
And in the movie, John Cusack and his girlfriend break up, and everyone's asking John Cusack whether or not they can date his ex-girlfriend. And there's this scene where Mr. Vargas, or whatever his name is in this movie, is like, would it be okay if I asked Jennifer or whatever out on a date? Yeah.
Did I?
You've just channeled the exact character that he plays in the movie Better Off Dead. $2. I want my $2. Yes. We're going to watch that at some point, and you're going to be like,
holy crap.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
You've nailed it.
Hey, we often do. I just dropped my mic. I was so excited. We often do, we often make up stuff in our plot twist, which is kind of already been done, but I have never that accurately described an actual scene that it does exist in a film
so
before
awesome.
with the right actor and everything.
Emma, it gave me chills.
That's good.
Chills.
That is really good. Okay, well, it can be that though. Because when did that film come out? It's got John Cusack in it, probably later, right?
85.
That's fine.
Mr.
That's
Kerber,
3 years from
85.
now.
3 years from now, he has got the hots for John Cusack's ex-girlfriend in Homeroom.
I wonder if the screenwriter of that film saw this film and thought the same thing that I did.
It's possible. Anything's possible. Anything's
Wow.
possible.
Okay, well, that's a thing. It just needs to be more. It needs to be more like there's a specific reason why they're so wild, and whether it's because there's a tutor who's too like nice to them, or they've not been disciplined enough, or like, you know, it's like what's his name, the guy from The Simpsons, you know, and he's all like, there's the superintendent who's really strict, but then the head teacher doesn't really know what he's doing, so he lets them get away with things. You know, it's that kind of a vibe.
Principal Skinner.
I was thinking Springer in my head, and I was
Springer?
like, no, that's not right. Skinner.
You need to go back to season 3 through 10 and watch it again.
I don't.
Steamed hams, indeed.
Do you remember when I said steamed clams, and you were like, "Did you just say steamed clams?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I made a big mistake."
Don't get The Simpsons wrong around me, and don't call me Shirley, and also don't call me late for dinner.
I've done 2, and I have 1 more, and then that's it.
Okay.
And then you'll have me killed. So there's that, and then there's the whole thing like they're more connected, they're more matey, and then this new teacher, Mr. Hand, comes in and he gets all strict with them, and that's what like adds pressure to the situation. So they start acting out more, they start doing more wild things, because I think there's a slight assumption in a lot of these sorts of films, which is like, oh, all teens are just naturally crazy and super horny. And I feel like that is somewhat inaccurate. Like, actually, teens, I think, are a lot more responsive to the situations that they're in.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. So if you have, like, teens who are being schooled very strictly, they will respond to that more severely. It's that kind of... So I think that would make more sense, personally. There's a reason why they are this way. And then they can do all of the sex stuff still. And maybe not the really problematic plot about abortion, which is handled really...
really poorly.
Way too lightheartedly.
That was weird.
So, yeah, maybe we could take that out. But I think the rest of it is... you know, it's kind of fine. I think there should be more. There should be more, and they should do what they do in American Pie, which is that they should laugh at it a bit more.
Yeah.
You know, rather than be all pervy and weird about it, like the weird scene where she's like coming out of the pool and she's just randomly takes her top off, and it's a bit like, you are just glorifying this. Like,
yeah, and that's you're right, because that scene, it was just like, okay, fine, the older brother has the hots for that friend of yours.
Yeah.
I get, but you didn't need to have that scene where he goes into the bathroom and does the...
Yeah, we don't need to also have the hots for her.
Right?
You know? Right? We don't need to see through his eyes for a solid 10 minutes.
I have a suggestion that I think would kick it up even another notch, okay? Which is, you know, my favorite character in this movie is Spicoli, okay? And you know that he is an actual surfer, although we see him surf... I'm pretty sure never, right?
Yes, 0 times.
And he also has this dream that he becomes a professional surfer, right? Then he wakes up and it was a dream, but actually he's at school waiting for his pizza to get delivered, right?
Right.
And I guess it would be kind of nice if in this movie there was more surfing, and this guy is pitched and treated as like a dum-dum who's not very good at anything other than getting stoned and being late for school. In the end of the movie, he has this win with Mr. Hand where he basically, in his own way, shows, see, I was listening. I did pick up a bit about the French Revolution or whatever it was you were teaching, but it was a bit sort of, that wasn't as big of a thing as I wanted it to be. And I just wonder if is there a way that we could have, he dreams about a surf competition. I'm just wondering, could there be an actual surf competition that he does actually participate in and win? And maybe he needs to get to the surf competition, but Mr. Hand keeps him behind to like do extra curricular or whatever, right?
Yes.
And that whole thing could be a thing, right? What do you think?
Well, I think you could have that moment, but you maybe don't even need to show that much of it. You could literally just have it being like that, you know, he's on his way to a surf competition, and then there could be a moment where Mr. Hand's like, oh, well, you wasted my time, so I'm going to waste your time. And he could be like, look, man, I know you think this is a joke. I know you think I'm a huge stoner, and I know you think that this is a complete waste of time. But you really care about something, and that thing is history. And I respect that. I respect that you care about it. And you know what? I care about something too. Your thing's history, my thing is surfing. I care about that. And that you don't get to look down on me just because I care about it, okay? Just because you don't think it's that big a deal.
History is more important than surfing, Mr. Spicoli.
But that's what you think, man. That's how you see the world. I see the world differently, and what I see is the sea, and I want to go surf on the sea.
What I see is the sea.
So
I like that.
If you don't, you might think in 10 years I'm going to be working down the 7-Eleven because I wasted my time. Well, I don't want to waste my time right now, Mr. Han. I want to go surf, and I'm going to win this contest, and I'm going to show you. And then he heads out, and then we don't even need to see whether or not he wins,
right? And there's like surf music, you know? I love that. He wins over some sort of...
And the credits just roll over a shot of him surfing.
Everybody's got surfing! And Mr. Hand's like, gets pushed over into the sand, and his face is covered in sand, and he's like, why I oughta... You know?
Yeah.
That would really make it sing for me. You know, other than that, like, horny kids get horny and then figure it out. I like it a lot. Is it still called Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good title. I also think, I was like, if they are doing lots of reboots at the moment.
They sure are.
I would enjoy seeing a reboot of this as a TV show. I know that they did make a TV show of it.
They did.
It looks like it was not great, but they should do that. I mean, they kind of have, but still, I'd watch it.
I would watch at the very least episode 1, maybe half of the second one.
Yeah.
Then
like
after
with
that,
like with I Know What You Did
like
Last
with
Summer.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. I watched 2 episodes of that show.
And then you didn't need to watch any more.
No, because you called me and told me every
you
single thing that happened, shot for shot. And you spoiled it. And also, you know, by the sounds of it, dear listeners, if y'all haven't watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, the TV show,
it's actually
really good.
It starts bad and it gets a lot better. Yeah.
Like life in general, and also, you know, a lot of horror films. So,
yeah.
All right, nice, good. I think we did a modern take. I'm pumped about that.
The next thing that we'd like to do after we fix the film is we'd like to give it a little review. So, Anders, on a scale of 1 to 5 pizzas ordered to history class, how many pizzas are you going to give the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Right, here's the thing. When I sat down to watch this movie yesterday, I was convinced that it was going to be terrible because I remember it being trash, and I thought it was going to be a 2, okay?
Okay.
I'm not saying that this was, you know, Black Swan or whatever, right? Or, you know, The Dark Knight. But it didn't suck as bad as I thought it would suck, okay?
Yeah.
But it also wasn't great. So I'm going to give this movie 3 pizzas. Better than I thought it was going to be, but not as good as it should have been.
Yeah.
Right? What about you?
Well, I think 2.5 always feels like a cop out for some reason. It's like perfectly in the middle. Like I said, I think there were things I liked. I thought it was fun, but there was a lot of things I didn't like. So maybe.
Is it 2?
Oh no, I think I'm gonna give it a 2. I was gonna go 2.5. I actually no, I am gonna give it a 2 because the same reason. I was disappointed. I was expecting it to be wilder. I was expecting it to be more shocking than it was. And maybe I'm just from a different time. This film is literally 40 years old.
Oh, don't say that. Is that right? 40?
Yeah,
you're right.
2022.
Dude, movies that are 40 years
years
old are like black and white. Like some Like Some Like It Hot. That's a 40-year-old movie. It's a Wonderful Life. That's a 40-year-old movie. Not Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This movie just came out like 20 years ago.
As you said, it came out the year before you were born. So.
All things must pass. All things must pass away. As George Harrison famously sang before he died many years ago.
Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you got the time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. Chicken of China, the Chinese chicken. Remember movies? Still watch them on VHS.